What's up, everybody? Joe Ringen here, coming to you with another book review. Today, we're going to talk about an awesome book called Guards by Terry Pratchett. Happens to be getting in a little, getting a little ahead of the game here, but Terry Pratchett happens to be one of my favorite authors now. So there is the setup to this review, and if you can't tell already, it's going to be a lot of good stuff. Before I get into the review, though, besides reading a lot and reviewing a lot of books, I also wrote a book and I'm writing another one. It takes a long time, guys, because I got a real job too, but eventually the other one will be done. But the one book I have out, it's called The Ballad of Ages, Tale of Epic Fantasy. Read it. Hope you like it. It's on Amazon. But before you read that one, you should definitely read Guards by Terry Pratchett, because that's like pinnacle awesome book. And so what is it about? That's what you're wondering. So, well, before I talk about what this book is about, I want to back up just a little bit and just describe the world it's in. So, I'm not a scholar on the Discworld series, which is the series of books that Terry Pratchett has written. There's a ton of them. There's like 40 books or something in that series. A lot. I don't know if it's actually 40, but it's a lot. And so it's kind of intimidating. And to be honest, that's one of the reasons why it's taken me so long to start reading Terry Pratchett. And I'll just say this now, it's a tragedy that it's taken this long for me to read Terry Pratchett. I love Terry Pratchett. At least I really love this book. And I'm assuming the rest of the books are just as good. And after watching a lot of other videos of people who love Discworld and reading a lot of other reviews, I'm pretty confident I'd bet my paycheck that the other books are just as good, if not better. So the cool thing too about Discworld is it's not, you don't have to read them all in order. So, for example, this book, Guards, the first book I've read in the Discworld series. It's not the first book in the series. There are like multiple series within the world, little offshoots or different story arcs with different characters. So, Guards happens to be in a series called The City Watch. And this is the first book in that series. So, like, if you're going to read the little offshoot series, start with the first book in that. And so this is the first book in the City Watch. But there's other ones like the Weird Sisters. I think it's just the Death series, which is about the character Death. And so there's a lot of ways to read this. There's some standalones too, but you don't have to read like the first one that's been published. In fact, a lot of people online recommend not to read the first one that's been published, which is The Color of Magic, and that's probably the one you'll see in most of the stores. So that's Discworld. It's a huge series of books, a lot of different ways of reading it, kind of like, like the world, the disc, the circle. You can start at any point. There's no starting point. Okay, so that's the background. So I'm going to talk about this book specifically, Guards, and what it's about. So in the world of the City Watch, the main group of people, the main characters are the City Watch. Go figure, right? What are they? They're the police force of the big city, and it's kind of like I think it's the capital of Discworld. I could be wrong. Nevertheless, it's a huge city, kind of like New York or something. Very big, and it's riddled with crime. The city's super corrupt. Even the politicians are corrupt. The mayor's corrupt. There's a lot of different factions of like mafia groups, crime groups, and they sort of run the city. And it's gotten to the point that it's so corrupt that even the mayor, and I'm just going to say this now, I know he's not called the mayor in the book. I just forget what he's called. It's been like a week since I've read this. So I forget the chancellor or something. I don't remember. I'm just going to call him the mayor for the purposes of this video. So he's super corrupt too. And like, he's in bed with the criminals, and they even have agreements, which is kind of smart actually when you think about it. So they have like agreements where the mayor's like, all right, I'm going to allow you to do these unlawful things, commit these crimes, but here's like you have like a quota. Like you can only do so much every month or something. If you go beyond that point that we agree to, then I'll throw the law at you. So it's in a way it's kind of smart, but that just highlights how corrupt this it's gotten out of hand. The only way to control the criminals is to make them your allies so you can sort of control the crime. That's the only way. You can't expunge it. You can only allow it to happen, but control it to a point, kind of like a wildfire. So it's a very corrupt world. And what's worse is the police force, they're basically just defunct. They exist in name only. They don't do anything. Um and really they can't, like, because of these agreements, they can't arrest people anyway. So they've just atrophied and gotten to the point where they just basically just sit around and go to diners and eat coffee and drink and stuff and or drink coffee and alcohol and just basically are just exist and get a paycheck. They have no moral standing. That's gone on the wayside. There's really no ethics or morals in the city anymore, and the police force has inherited that as well. So that's the background of the story. That's the lead up. So now what happens to cause all the craziness? There's a couple things, but the first thing that happens is we get this character. His name is Carrot. He's from an off distant land, and he's like an adopted human being, like adopted into a dwarf kingdom. So he grows up thinking he's a dwarf, but obviously he's not because he's like 6 feet tall and they're super short. But anyway, he's growing into like, he's becoming like a man. He's at that age. And so his father's like, all right, we're going to send you off, kind of like when you go to college or something, but he's going to go and join the city watch in the big city the city's called Ankh-Morpork. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. It's spelled weird. But so he goes off to the city. And the funny thing is, they all think it's like this big, noble, virtuous vocation to be the member of the city watch, the police force in the big city. Because that's what they stand for. They're police. So they're virtuous and noble. So he goes off, and little do they know, it's all just garbage. It's just a wasteland of no morals. And so he gets there, and he's like this upstanding dude, trying to do the right thing, living by a moral code. And all his partners at the police force are just like, what are you doing? And they're like getting mad at him because he's actually working. And it's funny because he gets there and he starts like arresting criminals, and it's this big thing. And the criminal's like, what are you doing? You can't arrest me. And even the police force are like, what? You can't arrest him. Like, it's against the law to arrest him. And it's just like backwards. So that's the first part of the book. And if you haven't noticed already, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. It's not really a secret. This book it's a comedy. It's hilarious. It's super funny. And I didn't know that really. I mean, I kind of knew that a little bit from reading about Terry Pratchett, that they're funny books. I just didn't know how funny. I still thought they were kind of like serious, and it was like a huge, long Discworld. It was kind of like serious fantasy, almost, but like a little tongue in cheeky. I don't know, cheesy maybe, but it's actually like just comic gold. Like, it's hilarious. Terry Pratchett is one of my favorite authors now. Only having read just one of his books, he makes you laugh out loud, and you don't even know how that's possible. Like reading a book, it's just so good. It's the banter, the dialogue, the wittiness. It's great writing, very enjoyable. And then the best part is it's not just like stupid funny. It's like intelligent funny. Kind of like The Office TV show or Arrested Development. Actually, what this really reminded me of when comparing it to movies, it really reminded me of like Leslie Nielsen movies, like Airplane or like Naked Gun kind of stuff, because you have the main storyline going on in the foreground, but the background, there's always all these weird, quirky, goofy things going on, and you're just dying laughing the whole time. And Terry Pratchett somehow is able to do that in written form, and it's just the best. There's no yeah, it's so awesome. Um, so yeah, it's a funny book. If you're wondering, that is a weird plot for like a fantasy. It's because it's a comedy, but the thing is, it's so well done. It actually through comedy, it highlights some like real things, like serious things, and makes you confront it with humor, which is maybe the best way to confront issues is just to be able to laugh at them. And Terry Pratchett's very good at that. Um, okay, so Carrot gets there, and then what happens next? So there's this other part of the story. There's this background group, like a secret society of aristocrats or like powerful people with influence and power in the city. They're like a secret society, and they meet up and they want to control or rule the city. So they're scheming to do that, but they can't really because they want to be able to control the leader and have like a puppet leader. But they can't because they're currently a democracy. So like the mayor, he gets elected. So like it's a lot of work to rig elections and all this stuff. So they decide we need to have a monarchy. We need to have a king. So then we have a succession of rulers for the rest of all time, and that they can always control and pull the strings. It's much easier for them to do that. But how do they do it? Because they're a democracy. How are they going to reestablish a monarchy and have their own king? Well, they figure out, hey, if we summon a dragon, yep, a dragon. If we summon a dragon to come and attack the city, and then we have someone that we choose slay the dragon, that guy, by slaying the dragon, becomes the rightful king. And then that's how you overthrow a mayor democracy. So that's the plan, and they do it. They summon a dragon, and then they pick a little whoever puppet king, and he slays the dragon, and then he gets installed as king. So for a little bit, at least, they have their kingdom at their control, and they're running the show from behind the scenes. But what could go wrong, right? Oh, guess what? He didn't actually slay the dragon. The dragon comes back, kills the king, lays siege to the city, and it's horrible. So they really screwed everything up, and they can't get rid of this dragon now. So good thing we have Carrot, and he comes in, and he's by this point he's sort of started to reteach the other police officers that what it means to be a police officer, what it means to have morals and ethics and virtues. And so they start to find their true selves and their true callings again. And they fight the dragon. All I'll say on that. Super funny, very clever. And when at least for me, when I was reading this, I realized like it's very close. You almost have to just laugh at how close this is to our world, even though it's fantasy. There's no dragons in our world, but there's metaphorical dragons, right? So I think Terry Pratchett, he's obviously a very intelligent person. He's a great writer, and I think he understood how the world really works. But instead of choosing to be a cynic about it and just be glum and just bummed out about it all the time and writing depressing things, he chooses to attack it through humor, and he does a great job. And so you sit there and think, all right, well, who are the secret societies in our world that are running the show? What sort of chaotic disasters have they manufactured, for their means? Maybe none, but you could totally see how it might be happening in our world too. So Terry Pratchett probably understood that, and he decides, hey, let's present this to people through humor, and then they can start to get the wheels turning in their head, and then maybe we can not have so many problems in our real world. Maybe that was his goal. Maybe it wasn't. That's what I gleaned out of this book. But even if you're not looking for insight or truth or wisdom, you could definitely just enjoy this book for what it is as entertainment, because it's hilarious and it's great writing. And Terry Pratchett, he checks every box that I require. Who am I? I'm not like a critic or whatever. For me, since these are my reviews, that I require to be just a master of written language, he checks every box. Uh, just great writing style, great prose. Not overly like flowery, but still musical and poetic. It flows very well. It's not just like bullet point writing, which I hate that, and that's what a lot of modern writing is, sadly. A lot of words in the English language, and you should use them. You don't have to use 4 words over and over. Anyway, um, so great writing style, great vocabulary, very intelligent. He includes a lot. You go into this book, you come out actually smarter than you do going in, even if it's not your intention to do so. And a bonus feature of Terry Pratchett that I don't necessarily require, but is is just so refreshing and enjoyable is humor, and he's great at humor. So it's hilarious, man. Just funny stuff the way he writes. It reminds me like I kept thinking it's kind of like it really does read like Don Quixote, like Cervantes. Just very witty in the banter. It's just so good. Even like Dumas, like Three Musketeers, it's very just it has that wittiness, the great dialogue, and it's got some good, very funny, but also just very good writing. So the other author that this reminds me of is a modern author is Carl Hassan, and he writes like like comedy, uh, detective stories, kind of. Now, and he's very funny, but he doesn't write like fantasy books, but the writing style is kind of similar. And so if you enjoy Carl Hassan, you'll enjoy Terry Pratchett, or vice versa, I would think. So if you're looking for people like Terry Pratchett, check out Carl Hassan. But yeah, it's just super good. I do want to say too, this book. So I picked the reason I read this book. I've sort of shied away from Discworld for a long time because it's a long series, and I don't know if I want to get invested in a series like this. Because there's a lot of other books I want to read too, in my lifetime. But this one came up. So me and my wife just went to Florida on vacation, and so I was looking for a book to read on my Kindle. This happened to be on Kindle Unlimited. And it's, I need a quick read for the plane ride. It's like a 3-hour flight. And so this popped up and I'm just like, let's do it. Let's try it. Worst case, it's just another book. A lot of people like it. I'm sure it's going to be decent. And so, man, this was like the best. I loved it. I loved it. I love reading on the plane. And this book was a perfect like travel book because you can put it down at any point really and pick it up. And it goes fast and it's so funny. It's so funny. Oh, I love this. I'm gonna read all the Discworld. Uh, so also another note, I know if you've watched some of my other videos, you'll know I really, really like Piers Anthony as a writer. Don't tune out now. I know Piers Anthony. The thing I don't like about Piers Anthony, he's a very kind of a weird dude. I've never met him, so I shouldn't say that, but he writes like his books are very funny, very witty, a lot of banter, clever, a lot. So it's like Terry Pratchett in that way. But Piers Anthony, he always throws in these weird, unnecessary, like adult themed stuff that does not contribute in any way to the plot, and it's just creepy almost to read. And so I'm always looking for like I want someone like Piers Anthony because all the other stuff I love about him, and he's so good, and I still read his books despite that stuff because everything else is amazing and is just it's the scratch to my itch. Is that a phrase? Oh, that's probably something Piers Anthony would say as a weird dude. Anyway, but anyway, I'm looking for like someone like Piers Anthony without that garbage. So far, Terry Pratchett is that. Except, dare I say, better. So maybe it's too soon to say that because I've only read one of Terry Pratchett's books. I'm going to read more, and it's very possible Terry Pratchett could wear the crown. But I still do like Piers Anthony. But man, I'm so happy I found Terry Pratchett because it's all the things I love about Piers Anthony without the weird stuff. And I'm so happy that exists. So happy that exists. Oh man. So yeah, I'm gonna get into more Discworld. Very excited to do that. But not next. So there's some other books. I did read another book on vacation. That'll be my next review. And there's a couple others that I'll do too before another Discworld book. But I'm gonna be able to read a lot more, guys, because it's winter in Minnesota. There's nothing more you can do except read and shovel. And so we're gonna get a lot more book reviews coming out to you. And I'm gonna do some more writing too. So it's a good time. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Go out and read some Terry Pratchett. Tell me which ones are the best ones. I'll take your advice and read those next. But you all take care. Have a great rest of your night.